Hey everyone, welcome back to the live stream. It is Friday, September 22nd, and today I want to talk a little bit about certifications. Getting a lot of questions about different certifications that are available. You know, we've got the free AAPC offers going on right now, so I figured, hey, it's a good time to discuss certifications. What are the best certifications to get? What to get after you've gotten your CPC? Dive a little bit into some certifications that maybe career-wise might not be the best choice if you're looking to find a job, and what ones kind of hold their weight. And I don't want to talk too much about specifically which ones I would personally not get, but we can discuss just all things certifications, medical coding. Let's just go ahead and get into it and get into the stream. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad to see a lot of you back in here today. Amy, thank you for joining the channel membership. Hello to Mallory. Pam, hey, good to see you here. Haven't seen you come in a while. You've been a busy lady, I think. So yeah, today I want to talk about certifications, generally in medical coding. I was thinking about preparing some slides, but I'm like, you know what? I got a lot of stuff going on. I don't know that I feel like having to make slides every time I do a live stream and want to talk about stuff. But yeah, let's scroll up and see if we have any questions that came in. Usually I get like a couple of questions that come in right away. Not so much the hello there to Miriam and jerseys. Okay, let's go over and take a look while we're chit-chatting here. So free AAPC is happening right now. So I know a lot of people are, what the heck is going on with my, there we go. Why is my stream deck not working? Hold on one second. We're going to unplug you and plug you back in. That fixes a lot of stuff. So free AAPC is happening right now, right? And that doesn't mean you get to sit and study all things medical coding for free. It means they have a couple of things that they will offer you for free, more so free with purchase. Also deals, prizes, etc. So if you have one AAPC certification right now in the US, you can get some free training if you purchase the exam, I believe right now, which is the CPMA, Certified Professional Medical Auditor, CPPM, Certified Professional Practice Manager, CDEO, which is the Certified Documentation Expert Outpatient, CDEI, Certified Documentation Expert Inpatient, and CPCO, which is the Certified Professional Compliance Officer. So those are what they are currently offering. Hey, what is going on with my deck right now? I unplugged it, I replugged it, it didn't like that. Maybe it's still thinking. Let me hold on one second. Let me get my software up here. Stream deck. Because that's going to be a pain in the butt if I have to switch back and forth. So again, like if I was someone and I was like, hey, I already got my CPC. What should I get out of these offers? I don't know that there's necessarily a best next one. If it was me personally, I would maybe go CPMA. So that way I have some experience in the auditing realm in there. But yeah, you can see the course is free with the exam. The exam itself is $499. So it's not free, but you do get the training included with the purchase of the exam. Keep an eye out for some of these deals because they do have some every now and then where they're like, hey, the first 10 people might get half off of HealthCon, or they might give off one free HealthCon or some different stuff. So keep an eye out. There's more rounds coming up. So it could even be that the next round is maybe like specialty training. Like maybe next round they're like, hey, we're going to do the same thing, but with specialties. So if you want to do peds or GI, I don't know. But I like when they have these kind of deals, and oftentimes they have like Black Friday deals. So keep out for those. You know what deal I'm really missing though? They used to have deals where towards the end of the year, they would try to get rid of all of their like study guides and stuff. So they'd be like, hey, you can buy, the 2023 study guides in December for like $20 or something. And I haven't seen that in a while. And I wish it would come back when they get rid of all their stock. That's a fun one. Let's see if there we go. Now I'm cooking. Trenton has a question. I'm going to do the CRC. CRC is your Certified Risk Adjustment Coder. Follow up with the radiology certification. Wow. And then excel to the CPMA or CDEO. Or yeah, I think you maybe transpose those. CPMA. Yeah, CPMA I think is a good one. Especially I think with how we're moving forward and transitioning with AI. I don't think it's going to happen as rapidly as people seem to think it is. I do think it is coming, but considering it's still 2023 and healthcare is still using fax machines, we're not always the swiftest or most adept at taking these technologies. And of course, I've seen so many organizations where we adopt new technology, and then of course we have new and unexpected problems. So I think a lot of auditing, in-depth looks, as well as even looking at things from a compliance aspect, is really going to come into play there. The NAHP certification, haven't even heard of that one. So when I say about medical coding and medical billing, okay, especially medical coding, when we think about certifications, we want to look at our two main bodies, right? Which is our AHIMA and our AAPC. I always say those are like our Coke and Pepsi of the medical coding realm. Those are the brands that employers are most familiar with. So not saying that other certifications aren't worthwhile or that they aren't good or don't test your knowledge very appropriately. But brand-wise, everyone knows AAPC, everyone knows AHIMA. We know we can have faith in their certifications. We know that they are testing appropriately for what is needed in this career and in this industry. So we have faith in them. We know that if we're posting for a coding position, we can say, hey, we want you to have the CPC through the AAPC or the CCSP through AHIMA, because those are tried and true. There are other pockets of places that might take different certifications. The CBCS comes up a lot. People ask me about that. If you search, you will not find a lot of employers specifically looking for that. There are pockets of areas that do take it. I'm not saying it isn't an equivalent certification as far as knowledge or anything like that, but it is just not as in demand. It's like, again, the kind of going back to my Coke and Pepsi comparison, we're talking Coke and Pepsi versus like Faygo. Nothing against Faygo, but it's just that most people are looking for Coke and Pepsi products, right? Right. That's a very good point, Trenton. We haven't even adopted ICD-11 yet. I think we were one of the last, if not the last, to even go to ICD-10. I think the 10 to 11 transition will probably take less time than 9 to 10, but even so, we're still having trouble even getting coders onto digital products. Like we're still here with our paper books, hugging them tight, putting them under our pillow, hoping that the medical coding fairy is going to come in the middle of the night and I guess sprinkle all the knowledge into our brains. Allie has a great question here. I don't understand the CCA versus the CCS. Now, I don't want to badmouth AHIMA. I don't. They're a great organization. But I hear a lot of remarks, and I do to some degree agree with them, that the CCS isn't quite as worthwhile anymore, or the CCA is not worthwhile anymore. Let's actually take a look, all of us, at the AHIMA website. okay, and their certifications. So if we look at the CCA, that's kind of almost the equivalent to the AAPC's CPCA. It's more the apprentice sort of designation, but they call it more the associate. So this is for coding professionals who hold the CCA credential, have demonstrated coding competency across all settings, including hospitals and physician practices. Since 2002, the CCA designation has been a nationally recognized standard of achievements in the HIM field. Now, I think they used to have statistics somewhere of how many people hold the CCA and the CCSP, and it wasn't honestly as huge as like just the CCS or even the RHIT. But if we look at our eligibility requirements, right, for the CCA, while not required, at least one of the following is recommended, which means would be nice to have, you don't have to, right? 6 months experience coding, completion of a NHEMA approved program, or completion of a coding training program, which includes A&P, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, again, it doesn't say that you have to have them in order to sit for the exam. It says recommended, right? And then, of course, we have our exam fees. How many first-time test takers did we have for the CCA? Look, okay, so they're seeing a little bit more of people sitting for this exam. Okay, here it is. As of December 31st, 2022, there were 7,760 certified CCA professionals, which honestly, in the grand scheme of things, is not a lot, especially when you consider how many members there are of the AAPC. I think it's 200 or 250, maybe even 1,000 yet. So in comparison, 7,760 is not a lot. If we look at the CCS, right? CCS is kind of, it seems like the same thing. It used to be that you had to like sit for your CCA first and then get experience, I think, and sit for your CCS, but not so much anymore. Okay. Eligibility requirements. Now, again, look at this. While not required, one of the following are recommended. So if neither are really going to have hard and fast requirements, what's the point of going for the CCA if the end goal is to get your CCS or your CCSP? You might as well just go ahead and study and get ready the whole 100%, go the whole mile and get your CCS. So again, not required, but recommended. Completion of courses in A&P, midterm, pharmacology, ICD-10, PCS, CPT, or some years of experience. And it says, or hold the CCA credential plus have a year, but really, again, recommended, not required. So you have to pay the exam fee. And how many CCS professionals are there? Again, 2,000. This is the exam takers. So 30,111 certified CCS professionals as of 2022 versus the CCA, which was what, 7,000 and something? So personally, if it was me and I was studying for a medical coding certification and I wanted it through a HEMA, I wouldn't even go with the CCA. I'd skip right over to the CCS. Skip right over. Now, as far as like difficulty level of them, I've not taken either of these, so I don't know if maybe one is particularly more difficult than the other. CCS is timed. Total number of questions range from 115 to 140. Multiple choice in the medical coding scenario section. CCA, we have 105 questions, 90 scored, and 15 pretest items. The exam is given in a computer-based format. So I personally would rather just go for the CCS. Mallory has a great question in regards to certifications. So when you get a lot of different certifications, you have to get additional continuing education units for them, right? So let's see if we can find APC CEUs. So is it difficult to find those specialty-specific CEUs? Yeah, it kind of depends. One of the things you have on the AAPC website is you can search for CEUs based off of specialty. A lot of times things like ICD-10 or E&M services will apply to just about every specialty. So if you're having trouble finding certification CEUs for a certain specialty, sometimes those E&M courses, those ICD-10 updates, even CPT updates, they'll approve for just about any specialty. So let's say I'm looking for something for the CCC, which is the cardiology coding. I can search just in general. I can search by zip code and see if there's anything coming up. A lot of the chapter presentations will be approved for a lot of different specialties. And they should, but they don't always say what specialties they're approved for. Usually it'll say like core. What we've seen historically a lot of is, oh, the CEU is approved for all core specialties and all core credentials and all specialties except for the CIRCC. But they're starting to kind of turn around with the CIRCC. I'm seeing vendors that previously could not get CIRCC CEUs approved to give to students or sell, starting to get them. Previously, I think they had almost an exclusive deal with Dr. Z. So I'm not sure if that exclusivity of that deal has come to term or they renegotiated or what happened there, but we are starting to see better availability now of CIRCC credential CEUs. So it's not terribly difficult to find them. You can find some, let's see here. Yeah, again, E&M guideline changes, CPT changes, ICD-10 changes, usually anything like that will qualify for all the different specialties, except for maybe, you know, like do we have one for like path and lab or radiology? But let's talk about the CEU requirements. I apologize. I got this new microphone. Oh, I have a mute button right here. I got this new microphone. My old one used to have a mute button right on it. This one does not. But I keep forgetting there's a thing in the app that will do it. Oh my God. You guys, this is too funny. I'm laughing at this. Okay, so I went into Google. I typed in AAPC CEUs. Okay, and because I'm looking for the requirements of how many CEUs you need for how many different credentials you might have. So AAPC CEUs in Google. Oh, that makes me laugh. Those are my videos about CEUs. Okay. Let's see if I can find it though. Unit policy, maybe this is it. I know they have a page somewhere where they tell you like at this many certifications, here it is. Yeah, here we go. So one certification, you need 36, 2, you need 40, 3, you need 44. They do cap it at 52 CEUs for the year, right? Or for renewal periods, which is every other year, typically, unless you're prorated for some reason. And then they have specialty-specific requirements. So that's something to think about if you're looking at getting a specialty certification. If you are a CIRCC, 16 of them have to be related to interventional radiology or cardiovascular coding. If you're a CPMA, 16 of them have to be auditing, same with CPMO, CDEO, CPPM. And if you have a specialty, like if you're have your specialty for pediatrics, 8 of those have to be specialty specific. Good. So this question is asking CDO versus CPMA. Does the CPMA cover contents of the CDO? I think there is some crossover, but I don't know that there would be there might be maybe, I would wager 15, 20% crossover, but a lot more differences on each. Let me see if I can bring out some information here. As far as CDEO versus CPMA, I feel like I might have training materials for both of them in my bookshelf. Let me take a look. I have been loading up my bookshelf lately. CDEO, CPMA. Okay, cool. So let's look at the table of contents for these study materials. I don't want to, obviously show you the whole book, but let's kind of take a look at what the contents are for each of them. So if we're looking at, and one of them, some of them I think might be old, but still the same chapters, I'm sure. So if we're looking at CDEO, they're going to cover purpose of clinical documentation improvement, documentation requirements, provider communication and compliance, quality measures, payment models, diagnosis coding, and then E&M and procedure coding. Now, if we look at this CPMA, which I think I have an older CPMA book, Library, 2021. Let's see. Compliance and regulatory, medical record standards, coding and reimbursement, audit scope, risk analysis. And yeah, that's it. Is this the study guide? This is the study guide. So not as robust as the full training manual, but still. So yeah, the CPMA is going to have a lot more information about auditing, a lot more information about medical record standards, documentation standards, sampling, repayments. The CDEO is going to have a lot more just documentation basics. How many times can you take the CCS exam? That I'm not sure about. I know AHEMA versus AAPC does have, I want to say like a cool down period, where if you take the certification exam and you don't pass it, you have to wait a certain period of time. And they do have that though on the AHEMA website. Let me see if I can pull that up. Well, I don't want to pull it up right now. It might take some searching. Big French coming in here. I'm a Medicare risk coder and I have been for 2 years. I've joined AAPC in June and just started the CPC course. I'm going for my CPC, but was wondering if I should go for my CRC. What are your thoughts? Well, I mean, you're already in the CPC course and you can get both, right? There is some crossover from the CPC to the CRC. Mostly the ICD-10-CM stuff, right? So when you're learning the CPC curriculum, you're going to learn basics of health information and insurance. You're going to learn a little bit of compliance, and then you're going to learn ICD-10, CPT, and HCPCS. The CRC is ICD-10-CM, and then quality measures, risk adjustment models, a little bit of stuff about the insurance, like the difference between a Medicare versus a Medicaid and how their programs work with risk adjustment. So I don't think there's any reason you can't do both. What I would do is, since you're already in the CPC, I wouldn't like change gears unless you're like, wow, I absolutely loathe and appall CPT. I cannot stand this. I can't see myself ever working with CPT. I'm going to change gears and just work with ICD-10 and work in risk adjustment. Unless that's your situation, I would say just finish out the CPC. And then when you're done and you're kind of like, hey, you know what, I'm ready for the next credential, you can go for that CRC. Oh, excuse me 1 second. Forgot to unmute myself. My gosh. And there goes the comments probably coming in. Yeah, sorry about that. Where was I? CPCO versus CPMA. Okay, so personally, I am a big CPMA fan. I love auditing. If you love auditing and you want to stay in auditing, I think it would be great to get your CPMA. If you want to be a compliance officer, that's where the CPCO will come in. I personally think, again, you have to prioritize things, I guess, right? So it's beneficial to eventually have both, because then you can do audits. And even as a compliance officer, you're going to have to look at audit results and figure out plans of action in regards to that. Yeah, so I would just kind of do a pros and cons, figure out where you want to be in the next 1 year. And if that's in auditing, then get your auditing credential. If it's in compliance, get your compliance certification. And then if that plan is going to change in 5 years, you can revisit that and go for the next credential. Rachel's asking, I just received my CPCA in March doing Practicode to try to get practice and experience, but I've been an X-ray, CT, MRI tech for 30 plus years, and I really eventually want to take the CIRCC exam, which would be awesome, right? Is it dumb to take it now still being a CPCA? No, absolutely not. There is nothing precluding CPCAs from taking any additional certifications, and I don't feel as though there would be, I want to say, a benefit to prolonging it. The only thing I would say that could potentially be a barrier is if you are in your first coding job and you're like, wow, I've got a lot to learn. I want to get my productivity up. I have a lot of different resources and things I need to study, insurance policies, et cetera, et cetera. If you are concentrating on working that job and you think, oh gosh, adding training onto for the CRCC is going to really make things stressful for me, then I would advise to hold off. Otherwise, I wouldn't. If you're ready to study and you're like, I love this, and I think interventional radiology and cardiology coding is the bomb, I would just go for it. Is there a way to get familiar with EMR systems many job postings are asking for? I wish I had a better answer for this, but not really. With EMRs, it's not like Microsoft Office or something where you can just go, oh, you know what, I'm just going to learn how to do Word. There's a lot of licensing. You would have to have certain things loaded in. So the only way to really gain access to those electronic medical records or record systems is to work for organizations that are currently working for them. I understand that there are some training modules people have told me that they found for like Epic on YouTube. I do not think, though, that would be something that a recruiter would qualify as experience working in that EMR. One thing I did want to talk with you guys about in regards to certification and certification exams. So there has been, oh gosh, my eyes look like crazy today. There's been this rumor flying around for the past few weeks, okay, that starting in 2024, the ICD, I'm sorry, going brain dead. There's been this rumor floating around that starting in 2024, the CPC exam is going to have fill in the blanks, which I know had been mentioned briefly in the past by the AAPC in the context of like, oh yeah, we're going to go into these electronic exams and the proctored online exams, and there's different capabilities that they have. So instead of just multiple choice, there may also be different types of questions they can do, including fill in the blanks. So it hasn't been confirmed. It's been like an idea that was tossed around, right? Well, a few weeks ago in AAPC Social Hour, it was mentioned again. AAPC Alex addressed it with Ray and said, hey, sorry, I'm stuffy and it's making me breathe heavy. Excuse me. So AAPC Alex discussed with Ray, hey, there's all these rumors floating around that the CPC exam is going to have fill in the blanks. And Ray did say that that is something that is capable to be done now with the exam centers and with the online exams, that the program that they have can do fill in the blanks. And that is something they are looking into doing in 2024. Having said that, they also did say that when they are going to officially roll that out, there will be a lot of communication surrounding that, and the study materials will change. Now, having worked in the past with a lot of different learning management systems, right? What I think a lot of people are scared about with these fill in the blanks is that it's going to be just a free-for-all text, like you would see in a notepad document where it's just to type the codes. I feel, considering how some of these systems work, it will be very structured, because they don't want to, let's say I'm typing in, let's see if I can just bring up like a Google Doc or something here. Hold on. Or maybe even just a Word document to kind of demonstrate. So let's say I'm taking my test and I have a fill in the blank question, right? And I'm, typing in the ICD-10 CM code, and it's E11.9, and maybe I accidentally put a space there or something, and then it might not take it. Or maybe it's multiple codes and I have to separate them with a comma, but I put a space in there and then it doesn't take it. So I think there's a lot of testing that has to be done around that, depending on how their system is set up. Because again, you don't want to have, I type in it's 99215-25 and then comma, and then it recognizes a space and it thinks that that's an extra character that shouldn't be there, and it errors it out. I think we've even seen issues with, the Practicode. So I would lean more towards, if they are going to do fill in the blanks, that it's going to be more like one CPT code at a time, or it's going to be a block for a CPT code and 1 or 2 blocks for the ICD-10 CM codes. I really don't foresee that it's going to be find 6 CPTs and 10 ICD-10 codes out of an entire case. I think they might give you the case and say, what's the E&M code for this case? Okay, and then you pick that. So I don't think it's going to be a high percentage of fill in the blanks, and I don't think they're going to be overly complex as far as input for the fill in the blanks, but I could be completely wrong. We shall see. It wouldn't shock me if they took the 10 cases at the end and made those more formatted to fill in the blank, but it could even be something like your standard fill in the blank. What does HIPAA stand for? The Health Information and Blank Portability Act, or Accountability Act. They have one of the words there be a blank. So I know it does sound scary. It's really not. It's really not. They're not going to make the exam 100 times more complex just because we have fill in the blank questions. It's just, I think it's going to be a good thing, because I think we'll have less possibility of people who are just good exam takers and can use process of elimination, and we'll have more dedicated coders that actually can code. And I think there'll be a lot more faith then in the certification versus just picking out of these 4 options, which it is. I know it does sound scary, but I assure you, I know how much work goes in behind the scenes with the AAPC. I haven't seen it myself, but just knowing from working with people that have worked behind the scenes and having had discussions with them, they don't make these changes without vetting them. So I'm sure that whatever fill in the blank questions they're going to start putting into exams, they are going to beta test and analyze and go through the data and make sure that it is still a fair difficulty level, a fair assessment of your coding skills. I think it's still going to be, and I think, change is scary. I mean, look at how scary everyone thought it was when we were going to have the online remote proctored exams. And now people are like, oh yeah, it's just what we do. It's our book of business now. So, we can't just have things continue to be the same just for the sake of our own comfort levels and wanting them to always be the same. One of the things that they are looking at, so that is something that they've been addressing for a while now, and I think they're just not there. I have my CPCA and was thinking of going for the AAPC's accelerated COC course, but I also thought about getting my CRC. What do you think would be more beneficial? Again, that really kind of depends on what your goals are. Do you want to work in risk adjustment or do you want to work for outpatient facility coding? I think if you are looking as far as, expanding your skill set to employers, I would probably go CRC versus COC. Let me see if I have. I'm curious. I don't have any on me. I mean, if you look at some of the study materials that there are out there now, the study materials have fill in the blank questions. There's not everything is multiple choice. Let me even see, because one of the comments they did make is that, hey, we already have some questions within the study materials that are fill in the blank. So let me see what I got here. Let me pull up my study guides and see what I got. Just to show a little snippy snip. Multiple choice, multiple choice, multiple choice. I know the step-by-step books do have a lot of fill in the blanks. I think the study guides, I'm sure that's going to be a huge undertaking to update and include some fill in the blank questions in the study guide materials and study materials, especially for all of those certifications. If they're going to start, I don't know if they're going to start with like CPC and then roll out to others, or how that's going to play out. But time will tell. I'm sure they'll provide more details once that's all solidified. CPMA or CRC, trying to decide what to take next. I have CPC and CEMC. I think I see more jobs for CPMA. So again, it kind of depends on what your goals are. If you love ICD-10-CM, you want to work in risk adjustment, go CRC. If you love pro-fee coding and you're thinking, you know what, I just want to keep climbing up in my pro-fee career, I would start working on the CPMA. And I think if you already have your CEMC, it won't be too far off. Although I think we do have minimal changes from 2023 to 2024 with E&M. I think I read something recently about the time ranges changing for the office outpatients, that they're gonna, that is, I don't know if that was a Medicare thing or no, it was a CPT thing. It was from the AMA that they put something out about it. With AI, will coders and people who have certifications still be needed in the healthcare world for claim revenue cycle and adjudication processing? Let me tell you something. My car drives itself and I still keep my hands on the steering wheel. So yes, we will always still have a role. I think it is horrible fear-mongering to act like AI is suddenly going to replace us. And there's a lot of ethical things that are still going on with AI. I was just watching the news earlier where several well-known published authors are actually filing a lawsuit against OpenAI, who runs ChatGPT, because they took their copyrighted material, their copyrighted works and books, and used that to train their models, which they did not have authorization to do. So I'm not panicking yet about AI. I think there's a lot of cool advancements. I have been saying for years, and many others have been saying for years, that we are moving towards an auditing role more so in medical coding, but I don't think that's going to be any different than some of the things we've already seen. I mean, if you look at these larger healthcare organizations, is everything 100% touched by coders? You know, all of the large organizations that I've worked at the very, very least, E&Ms are going right out the door. And there's a select amount of them maybe being viewed. Maybe they have an entity in place that looks at the ones that are all level 5s. Maybe they look at the ones that have 25 modifiers and someone checks those. Maybe there's a provider that hasn't been reporting appropriately in the past, and all of theirs gets checked, or half of them gets checked. So I think we're still going to see some more of that, but now it's just going to be, oh, okay, well, the AI read the medical records, it selected the E&M code, and we're going to have these select ones that are going to go to coders, or they're going to go in a work queue, and we're going to look at them and confirm them. Nadia, can you go straight to auditing? You're not going to like this answer, no. It's kind of like you can't go from being a, doing prep work in the kitchen to being a master chef, right? Like you can't go to being a master chef without knowing how to work a knife, or how to bake, or how to use an oven, or how to use, like, you have to go through the basic steps first in order to become the master level, which is sort of what auditing is the equivalent of. Like, you have to go and learn the basics, get the foundation, and then once you've got that, you can move up to the next step. So you can't really get into auditing without knowing medical coding, medical billing, compliance, and et cetera first. Not that there aren't certain concepts that you won't know right away and will have to pick up, but it's not a step you can skip. If one is to write the CPC, that just disappeared. If one is to write the CPC exam now, is the coding book for 2023 still relevant? The AAPC changes their certification exams based off of calendar year. So January 1 of every year, it gets a refresh. What the AAPC allows is you can use your books to sit for the certification exam for that calendar year, or one calendar year prior. So in this year, we will still use 2023 books, or you can use 2022. Next year, you can use 2024 books or 2023. The exam will change on January 1. So even though the ICD-10-CM codes are changing in 8 days, you cannot use your 2024 book for ICD-10-CM until 2024. The exam will not reflect any of those new ICD-10-CM codes that we're going to have in effect in 8 days. So you wouldn't even want to use your 2024 book. As far as studying with those materials, if you're going to test in 2024, the concept of how medical coding works does not change. The content of the books changes very minimally. They will basically only change the books to reflect any code changes, or if there have been policy changes, like the way Medicare pays or reimburses for something. They review it, and anything that is no longer relevant will be updated. So the entire books won't be completely redone from year to year. Excuse me. What programs or schools online are available for not too expensive and affordable? That is a great question, because it allows me to talk to you about one of our most prominent channel sponsors, which is Preppy. And if you are interested in a career in medical billing and coding, you can go to Medical Coding Masterclass. That is my free career masterclass that talks about all of the things you want to know before you start a career in medical billing and coding. What does the job outlook like? What is the salary expectations? What certifications should you get? And then it recommends a school that checks all the boxes. They take the best care of my viewers. They give you stuff that like I would never be able to give you, like a college certificate of completion. They give you an externship, which like I honestly, I'm not even sure I know of any other major programs that give externships aside from like colleges, universities, and they are extremely affordable. So medicalcodingmasterclass.com, you can find out more about Preppy, and that's the program that I recommend. Is this just a vlog or do you teach any coding coursework? I have review classes and I have a couple of credentials that I prep for, the auditing credential and the risk adjustment credential. They are currently licensed to the AAPC. So basically I take the material that the AAPC provides, I pay them a fee to license all of the materials that they use, and then I put my own kind of spin on it. And those are available on my website, contempocoding.com. Did you say AAPC students allow to use books to test from a year prior? Yeah, so I'll actually bring this up on the AAPC website because that's the best way to go over it. Let's see. FAQs. How long is the exam? Oh, here we go. Which year's books should I use? Okay. So this is right on the AAPC's website. Since the code sets for each coding book are updated every year, it's essential for coders to have the current year's books and manuals. Reporting wrong codes can lead to denied claim submissions and substantial penalization. It's clearly very important to get an education on the annual code set updates every year. Okay, so all AAPC exams are based on the current calendar year's code sets. So we strongly suggest you use the current year's books. The previous calendar year's books may be used on an exam, but you will be in an obvious disadvantage doing so. The upcoming year's books are not allowed. Again, the upcoming year's books are not allowed for exam use. The exams are updated every January for the new code sets. Examinees using their second attempt in the next calendar year will not be permitted to take the previous year's exam. Please review the allowed reference material for a full list. So not to get too much into grammar, all right? So, but this says you can use the current calendar year's books. Calendar year means 2023 is all of 2023. 2024, January 1 through December 31st of 2024 is that calendar year. Okay. So the previous calendar year's books, this is year, comma, apostrophe, meaning 1 year. If it was multiple prior years, it would be YEARS apostrophe, many years, right? So it's 1 year prior. So in 2023, you can use 2023 or 2022. In 2024, you can use 2024 or 2023. You can't use anything earlier than that. It also, again, says that the upcoming year's books are not allowed for exam use. So right now, I have my 2024 ICD-10-CM book, but I cannot use that for an exam until January 1 of 2024. And those codes aren't even going to be in the exam. They're just new codes. Excuse me. Pre-employment exams are so hard. Any suggestions on how to better prepare and pass for the remote exams specifically? That's a tough one because it really depends on the employer. So I can't really say like you have to buy this certain study guide or you have to take this course on E&M. It varies so much from employer to employer that there really isn't a way to direct you on what materials would be helpful. The best I can do is just say stay up to date on your coding information, read Healthcare Business Monthly, and take some of those quizzes and keep up with your CEUs. Oftentimes these assessments, they're rough, right? These employer assessments are rough. I've seen an unfortunate variety of them, some that aren't accurate, some that are overly complicated to the point that they will take you hours because there's like, hey, code these, 20 E&M cases. Some of them, you answer them and then they never give you any feedback. So you don't know if you were wrong or if the person who developed the exams was wrong. Others, it's just like all over the place, right? So yeah, that's kind of a personal concern of mine is some of these pre-employment exams and getting them to be a fair assessment of the people that are applying for them. What I would say is just prepare otherwise for the interviews. So making sure that you know what you're going to respond when they ask you those questions they always ask during interviews. What's your greatest strength? What's your greatest weakness? How have you been staying up with your CEUs? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Those kind of things. It's getting hard to find a job as a medical coder. I've been seeking a job for 6 months. No luck. Any tips? Yes. A couple of cool things I can tell you. Okay. I'm going to give you the best resources out there. Hold on. Talent. Okay. 2 things I can do to help you out. On my channel, okay, there is a playlist here, and it's called Looking for a Medical Coding Job. Here is all of my best advice. So this is going to go over interviews with recruiters. It's going to go over your resume. It's going to go over interview skills. It's going to go over tips on where to find jobs, right? So that is one thing that you need to do is just watch this whole playlist. It talks with Kyle. It talks with Bertram. It talks with LinkedIn. And the other thing you need to do is get onto Bertram's Revenue Cycle Roundup. I'm going to link it here in the comments. Bertram is having these basically biweekly revenue cycle roundup webinars where he tries to link up people with positions. So where did that comment go and why can't I hide it now? There we go. He's posting a lot of things that he's finding for coding positions. He's helping coders to be better prepared for how to get ready for these positions. So you can sign up here so you can get alerts and emails. He is hosting them live on LinkedIn on Wednesdays. And I think he's having some intermittent ones as well. But they are extremely helpful. And those are the 2 best resources I have for looking for coding jobs. Is ophthalmology coding hard? Never can find any info on it. I myself have done a little bit of ophthalmology coding. It's because it's so concentrated and it's limited. I wouldn't say it's hard. The hardest part is really just finding all of that initial information that's you're like, oh, this is how the exams are calculated and what needs to be documented in order to have these billed. But it's not too horrible. Yeah, I did try to put it in chat, but I don't know that it's taking for LinkedIn. It looks like it posted on YouTube. I don't know if all the connections are not working right now, but let me go over right now. It is renownedtalent.com/roundup. That's where you can find information on the Renowned Talent Roundup. Alexandria's coming in here. Is working as a dental billing assistant denial specialist for a year sufficient to remove my A? It depends on to what extent, because we have dental billing separate from professional fee medical billing. Typically what the requirements are as far as experience to remove your apprenticeship designation, other than the Practicode or the 80 contact hours of education, is you have to prove that you are working regularly in your job with ICD-10-CM, CPT, and HCPCS codes. So if you're only working with dental codes, probably not. But if you're working with ICD-10-CM, because I know there is sometimes that crossover, right? Then maybe, but that's kind of the requirements from the AAPC, that you have to prove that you're working with the code sets in your job on a regular basis. What would you recommend for someone who has a CPCA but has a medical assistant background and 4 years of auditing and HEDIS? What kind of auditing? Like just auditing in like medical coding auditing? Because if that's it, if you're doing like pro-fee audits, I would say maybe just go for your CPMA with the AAPC, which again, they're having their special right now. So you can get that at a very discounted price. So if you're already a CPCA and you're located in the United States, I think you have 7 more days for your offer for free AAPC. So you can go CPMA training. And if you pay for the exam, you get the training for free. So $499 for CPMA, like that's lower than even I offer it. And then you have to pay for the exam separate if you go through me, which is why it's kind of hard. Risk adjustment auditing. Then you might want to go with your CRC. If you want to stay in risk adjustment, I would go with your CRC. If you want to move over to pro-fee coding auditing, maybe go for the CPMA. By the way, before I forget, I am heading out in December to the NAMUS conference, the National Alliance of Medical Auditing Specialists. If you are interested in attending as well, you can get 10% off of your conference registration if you use, if you use code Victoria10. It's in Charleston, South Carolina. It's going to be a great event. A lot of amazing people are going to be there. Christine Hall is going to be there. Sean Weiss is going to be there. Shannon DeConda, of course, is going to be there. And hopefully me and Tony are going to be hooking up too. All right. Well, it is 3:00. I have had a great time talking with certifications with you guys. If you are watching this on the replay, feel free to leave your comments in the comment section and let me know that you are watching on the replay. Otherwise, I will see you guys back in 2 weeks. We have an amazing interview coming on Monday that's going to publish with Myra Simmons. Definitely do not miss that. It is going to be phenomenal. I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, just keep on coding on.